If you watched the last episode about Cain's wife, then you already noticed something important. Genesis seems to move very quickly, too quickly. Suddenly, there are cities. Suddenly, there are people Cain is afraid of. Suddenly, the world feels populated. Populated? And that raises a deeper question, not about Cain this time, but about Genesis itself. Why does the Bible focus so closely on one family, Adam's line, Seth's line, Abraham's line, while saying almost nothing about everyone else who must have existed? Is Genesis ignoring them, or are we expecting the text to do something it was never meant to do? Tonight, let's gently lift that veil. Most of us grew up assuming something like this. Genesis is telling the complete story of all humans on Earth. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The Bible never claims that. That assumption comes from how we read, not from what the text says. It's like finding your grandfather's journal. You wouldn't read it and complain that he didn't mention the moon landing. It was never his goal to document world events, but to document his family and legacy. We are reading Genesis like a newspaper, when it was written like a family journal. Genesis doesn't say Adam was the only human, or that his family was the entire population. Ancient people didn't write history the way modern people do. Genesis isn't trying to answer modern questions like, how many humans existed? Where did every group migrate? Or what was every civilization doing? It's answering a theological question, not a demographic one. So, what is Genesis actually doing? It is doing something very specific. It is tracing a chosen line, not the whole world, but the line through which God's purposes will unfold. This is the scarlet thread of redemption that runs through the entire biblical narrative. It's God setting the stage for a grand, multi-generational story. That's why Genesis zooms in on Adam, Seth, Noah, Shem, and Abraham, and zooms out on everyone else. Think of a film director focusing the camera on the protagonist. It doesn't mean the extras don't have their own stories. It just means we are following a specific one. This is why the genealogies feel so selective. Names appear, then disappear. Generations are skipped. That's not a mistake. That's intentional. In the ancient world, genealogies weren't biology charts. They were identity statements. They answered theological and existential questions like, who carries the covenant? Who holds the responsibility? Where is God's redemptive story moving through history? Genesis is less concerned with who existed and more concerned with who was chosen for this specific purpose. And this brings us to a crucial point. Silence in the Bible is often purposeful. Genesis doesn't deny the existence of other people. It simply doesn't center them. Its focus is elsewhere. Just like a family history book doesn't list every neighbor in the village, Genesis is telling Israel's origin story, not humanity's full biography. And once you see this, many so-called problems simply dissolve. Cain's fear of others makes sense. The existence of Cain's wife makes sense. The sudden appearance of cities makes sense, because Genesis was never saying, these are the only humans on earth. Idua saling. This is the line you need to pay attention to. Unfortunately, many faith crises happen right here because of a modern misreading. People discover archaeology, ancient Near Eastern cultures, or creation stories older than Genesis, and they think the Bible is wrong. But often, the real issue is that we asked the wrong question of the text. We're asking 21st century scientific questions of an ancient theological document. We ask, where did the water from Noah's flood go? Or how did every species fit on the ark? These are questions of physics and biology. It simply does not center them. Genesis is not trying to compete with anthropology, population science, or ancient myth catalogs. It's doing theology. It's giving us a divine commentary on the human condition. It's answering foundational questions. Who is God? What is humanity's purpose? What went wrong? And how will God restore order and bring redemption through a chosen people? When we force Genesis to be a science textbook, it breaks under a pressure it was never designed to carry. Understanding this perspective doesn't weaken faith, it strengthens it. It allows faith to breathe, because now you don't need to deny history or fear scholarship. You don't have to live in conflict with established science. Faith becomes quieter, more confident, less defensive. you realize Genesis isn't fragile. It's focused, and when read on its own terms, for what it is, it becomes infinitely richer, not poorer. So why does Genesis focus on one family, not the whole world? Because it's tracing purpose, not population. Calling, not census. Meaning, not method. And once you see that, the veil lifts, and the text comes alive in a new way. If this conversation has been helpful for you, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It tells the algorithm that this content is valuable and helps us reach more people who are asking these same questions. And if you know someone who has wrestled with these issues, consider sharing this video with them. You might be providing the key that unlocks a more resilient and thoughtful faith for them. Thank you for watching. It's answering, who is God? What went wrong? And how will God restore order through a chosen people? When we force Genesis to be something else, it breaks under pressure it was never designed to carry. This perspective doesn't weaken faith, it strengthens it. Because now, you don't need to deny history. You don't need to fear questions. You don't need to pretend the Bible answers questions it never asked. Faith becomes quieter, more confident, less defensive. You realize Genesis isn't fragile, it's focused. And when read on its own terms, it becomes richer, not poorer. So why does Genesis focus on one family, not the whole world? Because it's tracing purpose, not population. Calling, not census. Meaning, not mathematics. And once you see that, the veil lifts. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery. If this content has resonated with you, please support our channel by liking this video, subscribing, and clicking the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration. Sharing this video with others who may be asking similar questions helps our community grow. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.